So welcome to a very exciting evening where we're test driving our new interactive map. I call it the map app, which I think is quite hard to say. We're super excited to be doing this in collaboration with Arup. And we have Joanna, Stephanie and Nikki all here today from Arup. They are working on this project together. And I hope you will find this half-hour Zoom really, really useful so that you can go away and tell everybody in Lambeth about this app and how brilliant it is, because we need lots and lots of people to get involved in this project over the next 6 weeks or so. So I'm not going to say anything else for once. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this. And I'm handing you over to Joanna for this evening.
Great, thank you, Janie. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for giving us your time today and having an interest in our project. So as Janie mentioned, my name is Joanna and Stephanie will be assisting with this workshop. So we only have half an hour, so really have to motor through. So the first thing we're going to ask is if we could do a user feedback poll for anyone who's actually tried the tool already. So Stephanie has dropped in the link in the chat. So if you could just click the link in the chat and then drop in that code, 3332160. And then you'll find 2 questions asking you about your experience with the app. Let me know if you have any issues.
Jo, do you want me to share the screen as well? Or
yes, you may share the screen, please. Thanks.
Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Can do.
I'm sorry for being really thick here, but where am I supposed to be putting a comment? Or I did use it, and where do I put this code?
So just above the code is a website. So if you can just copy that website into your browser, and then it should open quite straightforward, just a window that says, please enter your code.
And then it should give you a question about whether you've used the map before today.
And then as you can see on Stephanie's, oh, getting a phone call. As you can see on Stephanie's screen, we'll have some live voting coming in. So this is largely because if everyone has used the tool, then this will be a very different session. And if no one's used the tool, then it drives the session into a different into a different direction. So how many people do we have on the call, just so we can monitor how many people have voted? Yeah. Is everyone having any issues connecting?
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, I don't think I have.
Oh, that's okay. You can just tell us.
My browser's out of date, so it could be that. Ooh.
Oh yeah, it's probably best to use Google Chrome.
Okay, I might try and do that. Let's have
Otherwise, if you're really having trouble, you can just put it straight into the chat and just say yes or no.
Oh, I'll do that.
Yeah.
It's only really to give us an idea of, of who was being doing and who, what you've looked at.
Tried it once. Thank you.
Do you want me to move on, Jay? Or
has everyone submitted their answer for this first question?
I have. We should all put, should we put yes in the, yeah.
Bye.
Okay, great. So it looks like most of us have used the map.
Cool.
Is there a second question? And then you can move on to the second question and just let us know how easy you found it to navigate. fairly easy. Thanks. Is everyone having a good time? If we're not asking too much. Okay. Okay, we'll give it another minute and then we'll move on. Please let us know if anyone is struggling in the chat or. Okay, is there anyone who hasn't given us their answer? Okay, so judging by the polls, it looks like it was very easy
for some people, and then I think there's a few people who found it a bit more difficult, so we can answer questions and go through it.
Can you just hover over that again? That was quite interesting. Okay, so all right, amazing. So mostly easy, but either way, we will still. I'm gonna go back to my screen now. So we're still gonna do a demo for those who haven't tried the tool yet. So just a quick overview of the activities for today. I think we're running a little bit behind schedule, but I'm going to give you a quick project overview for those who didn't attend the last event and might not be familiar with the developments of this project. And then we'll jump into about a 10-minute demo of the interactive map, the interface, both from 2 devices. Mostly, we would think that you would use your cell phone. As you're walking about the neighborhood, you could go straight into the link and then post your space directly. But we'll also show you a web browser from a desktop. And then the second activity, we'll send you a link so that those who haven't tried it can test it out. But those who have tried it, they can move on to voting and feedback. So quick overview of the origins of this project. So as coronavirus hit, myself and a few landscape architects were reaching out to our local community to offer our skills as professionals. And that opened a whole can of worms in terms of understanding our food system, the vulnerabilities, the stresses on a global level, on a national level, and down to a local level in Lambeth. So COVID-19 obviously exposed the fragility of the UK's, particularly the UK's food system. And we also started to understand that 20% of the UK population is living in poverty, with many eating unhealthy diets. And there's also a rise in unemployment, poverty, and stagnating income over the last 10 years, which doesn't help matters. And then moving on to Lambeth. So contextually, Lambeth, some of the food banks have seen a 300% demand, an increase in demand in the first 3 months of the national lockdown. And we are one of the top 25% in the whole UK in terms of fast food outlets per 100,000 population. And another statistic is that 31% of our population in Lambeth is living in areas of high deprivation. And next is the intention of this project. Once we met Janie last year, we started to craft this idea, and there was a lot of back and forth until this crystallized into a project. So the main thing we're trying to achieve with this project is to produce a comprehensive food growing map that identifies all the existing, no matter how small it is, existing potential food growing spaces in Lambeth. And we're also aiming to produce a methodology that is really easy to follow, it's scalable, and can be repeated elsewhere in the UK. The second intention is to strive to end food poverty in our borough by unlocking unused or underperforming urban land for food production and strengthening existing local food initiatives. And then the third one is to work closely with local council to inform future development plans that link open space, food production, and enhances local biodiversity, particularly in low income areas. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an overview of this project and why we're here. The methods that we're collecting data, we have two methods that we're collecting through. One is GIS mapping and analysis, which is done in-house by Arup. It's mostly a desktop research to collect, analyze, and visualize any open source data sets available. A lot of them are offered by Lambeth Council. And the second one is you guys. Crowdsourcing the geospatial data. So we really want to get to the finer grain, finer urban grain in terms of exposing potential sites that the GIS as a high level research mapping doesn't pick up on. So now we're going to move on to the activities. I will now demonstrate the interactive map. And I think it's worth everyone following, especially those who struggled on their first attempt or second or 10th attempt. So if you access Incredible Edible, oh, got someone arriving. So if you land on Incredible Edible's website, you'll see there's a bit of you'll eventually get to mapping Lambeth's food growing potential. It's also, Janie, you also called it Lambeth Plots. So this is what the landing page looks like, and you can already see that there's been a lot of activity, people mapping away. These are the different categories that we've identified. So underperforming car park spaces, community gardens, allotments, and so forth. So if you know of any of these in your local area, then you could click here to contribute and a different window will open. And what's really nice about the system is that you don't have to sign in, so you're completely anonymous. And it might take a while to open up. But eventually when this opens as a desktop format, let me show you quickly what it looks like as a on a cell phone. So this is what it would look like on a cell phone as soon as you move into the space. So you don't exactly see the map. So the map actually comes in afterwards. So this isn't a really, we didn't plan to refine this as a final product. It's just a mapping research tool to fast track and collect data. So hopefully this this event helps you with that. I see we're running out of time rapidly. So I'm gonna quickly mark a car park space. So you can either use your current location, which zooms into where you are currently, or you can type in your address, or you can zoom in straight into the space. You can also use different maps if you choose to use a aerial map, and you identify if it helps you use it easier, then you can by all means use that, and then you can click submit. And then we ask you a number of questions, only 4, so we try to keep it really quick and easy. So I could say it's a potential food growing space. Is it publicly accessible? Perhaps it's large and it's paved because it's a car park. And then you can drop in a image, preferably. So I will drop in, don't have a car park, but we can just delete that. And then you can drop your pin on the map. And again, you can use 3 different methods to get yourself to that location, and then you can report it. And then from there, you click cancel. It's not the best user experience, and then you have to go back again, and your point is submitted. onto this map. So once you close this down, then your point will appear on this map once you refresh. So does anyone want to give it a test drive? Or is it, I think it's pretty straightforward now that you see someone else do it. But yeah, let me go back to Steph, can you please drop in a link to
to the
website?
A bit. I was a bit keen and did it a few minutes ago.
Oh, great. Okay,
it
so
should be in the chat there. Yeah.
So for those people who haven't tried the dropping in a pin, please by all means do it now. Test it out, see how you feel navigating around there. We'll give you about 5 minutes. And don't worry about, just submitting anything, because we'll erase all the data from today's session so that we have a clean slate. It's just really to test it out.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Can you make the map so you can see it as a satellite image rather than a street view?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah. Can you make the map so that you can see it as a satellite image?
Yes. So there's
on the left-hand side.
Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yep. Oh, yep.
Yeah, so
Base map.
This is our base map, but you're free to, I hope all of them load, I feel like, but there you go. You can see an aerial map, which might be a lot more, it might be a little bit easier for yourself.
Oh, yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Cheers. Thank you for that.
Okay, my pleasure. And then I think we can perhaps fast track to dropping in another code for the poll. So the purpose of this poll, this is the second poll with the last poll, is just to ascertain if you find it easier now that it's been explained and demonstrated, and if you've, yeah, you'll see there's one more question, I think. Hey, Steph.
Yeah, there is. Let me just drop that as well back into the chat.
Yeah, thank you.
Let me know when you want me to share my screen for the results.
Yeah, I think we can probably shift over to your side.
Cool.
No. Are we going to make it? We've only got 8 minutes.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, go ahead.
I find it really hard to, even though I know my patch really well, I find it really hard to just place the pin. I don't know if other people are struggling with that.
From your cell phone or from your browser on your desktop?
I've tried it on my cell phone. I'm now trying it on the computer. And I don't know why I'm finding it so hard, but I am still a bit struggling with placing a pin.
Is it because you can't find the location?
Yeah,
or
partly.
And have you typed in the postcode or the street name?
So you do that by doing the search button. Yeah.
Hopefully that works. Otherwise, if you in that location, you can also click current location and it will zoom into where you're standing.
Okay.
So hopefully, like mapping on demand, mapping on the go, makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Can I ask, if you've put a point on and then the details come up, that means that you've actually done it, does it?
Yeah, so
I did it the other day and I didn't know if the point had actually worked and I couldn't go back and see it.
So if you scroll all the way to once you say report it, it should scroll back to the top, and you should get a notification at the top that says that your point's been submitted, and now you can cancel to go back to the main page if you want to, you know, continue mapping.
Okay.
Basically, so we did update that. So hopefully you see that now in this session. Very easy. Thanks.
And what happens if people put things on the map and they're completely wrong? How does that work?
I mean, I had that issue earlier this week, actually. So Nikki's been helping us develop the web app and the base map and doing all the functionality around it. And we're quite limited because we want this methodology to be really accessible, and we don't want to use you know, specialized skills like coding and programming, which we could have in-house in Arup, but that you know, that is beside the point. So we Nikki has dropped in her contact details. So if people are struggling, they could send her an email and just say.
But yeah, there is a way to like edit a submitted point only if you have registered before entering.
Yeah. So that's the other option, is that once you click contribute to this map from the Incredible Edible website, you can enter as a guest, or you can enter the other option is to enter with your profile through Facebook or Google profile, and then that's the only way that you can actually edit.
Do you mind if I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
On the Incredible on the actual not the homepage of Incredible Edible Lambeth, but on the page with the mapping Lambeth's food growing potential, where you've got the link to the mapping. Could you not put in? I mean, I understand how to use the mapping tool, but for people that don't, do you have any instructions that are actually easy to follow on the website itself?
Yeah, so this was one example of how we aim to do that, is to bring an audience, and we do a demonstration, and then in the next couple of days we're going to shorten that demo just to the website, and then post it alongside the map, so people can actually watch a video of how to.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah. So that should help.
Question. Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
What happens once the users put a marker on the map? Like, is there some moderation process that happens to make sure that it's an actual growing space?
Yeah, so we will at the end of this process, I'll show you the timeline of the next steps and of the project timeline, and how we intend to import the user data, and we would have to cross-reference if those spaces exist, and we can do that easily on Google Maps.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then after that, like, does that rely on the users then going back and starting to grow stuff there?
So the intention of this project is really to just ascertain the potential of land that we can unlock. Right. So one of our main ambitions with Incredible Edible is to unlock at least 15% more land in Lambeth for food production. Okay. And hopefully that can target the food insecurity in Lambeth. Mm-hmm. So we just want to understand what is available, what people think has potential, because then we could potentially fast track those sites at the next stage.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Can I ask something a little controversial?
Yes, of course.
In Lambeth, there are 6 housing estates which are being regenerated, so that the plan is to demolish them. And Lambeth Council don't want people growing vegetables and fruit or any plants that might come up again next year. I mean, some of these projects could take 15 years to actually happen. So in the meantime, why can't people
absolutely
make the most of the ground? And they don't want that to happen. So
we're going to change that.
I mean, some people are also worried as to what Arup is getting out of this, because Lambeth are very much sort of in bed with private developers. A lot of people are losing their homes. and they're thinking, well, maybe you're identifying land, making it look really nice, and then, you know, those people are going to be moved out if it's housing estates, I'm thinking.
Yeah. Well, our partnership with Incredible Edible is an Invest in Arab. So it funds community projects. So we're working for Incredible Edible and you know, their objectives and, you know, their aims as an organization. So we haven't spoken. Pardon?
That sounds good.
Yeah, yeah. So we don't. So the only real this is obviously an opportunity for ourselves to also learn and grow relationships on the ground with grassroots organizations, and how that might influence citizen-led policy making. And because we have relationships with the local council, we hope we can mediate between the needs of the communities and unlocking, you know, the local council's buy-in into these ideas.
Good luck.
Yeah, so far we've been received with quite positive feedback. I've been constantly hounding people at Lambeth Council for the last year just to try and understand what are they doing with their climate action and adaptation policies, what are they doing about food poverty, how are they addressing these things, just trying to understand, you know, the picture that they're creating and the future that they see for Lambeth, and to see if we can intercept that with, you know, community initiatives at a neighborhood scale, and that's coordinated, and hopefully this piece of work helps the community facilitate those discussions.
And I think Robert would like to ask something.
Joanna?
Yes.
Can I ask a question? And I haven't been involved in any of the where you've got to so far with things, but you mentioned biodiversity before, but nowhere in your criteria, everything is focused on food growing, completely understandably. But I mean, for myself, I've got some green spaces which actually would be better, one beside a school on a road, which would be better being a diverse sort of hedge.
Absolutely.
Do you have any, as an example? And in fact, we're planning a hedge later this year as part of one of our orchards in this green space. Is there anywhere where we could actually sort of specify, which just gives more variables for you to have to deal with, but to, you know, biodiverse spaces is what I'm talking about.
So that's a really key point. Just because we're identifying potential spaces, it's because they're underperforming or they're underused on this valuable urban land. And once we identify those spaces, then they can be transformed into anything that the community sees fit. So we do have biodiversity data, so we can overlay that onto our maps and see where there's places that are being negatively impacted in terms of local biodiversity. So that would take a preference, take a preference.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. So it's really to just identify land for biodiversity, food growing, or even recreational open space.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like everyone found it easy, which we're really relieved about because we were second guessing ourselves since we're not really programmers in the team. So that's really good to know. I'm going to share my screen again just to show you the last bit of the next steps and what to expect. So our timeline, we have quite a short timeline. We in the last presentation that we did, some of the feedback was that the crowdsourcing collection time period was a bit short, so we've extended it to the middle of April. So
good.
So today is the middle of March, so we've got a whole month to keep collecting data, and throughout that process we're going to be importing data and analyzing and visualizing that data against our GIS data sets, and then by the end of May we hope to develop the final maps, which is a comprehensive map of all the potential and the existing food growing spaces. Then from there we do an impact assessment report to understand, you know, the lessons learned, the failures of the project, because that's obviously a very real thing, and how we can improve things if we had to take this forward to another borough, for instance. And then we'll sit down with Incredible Edible to see if there's opportunities for a second stage of this project. But that'll only come once the findings reveal themselves at the end of this process. And that is everything. I don't know if I've gone over. 4 minutes over, not too bad. So yeah, Janie, back to you.
Very good. Yeah, I found that helpful because I struggle that the main struggle for me is at what point the pin is dropped. I don't know if anyone else had that problem when they were trying it out. Anyway, yeah, it's good. I guess does anybody else have questions? Because I think what Tola had to say is really, really valuable. And yeah, it'd be good to have some more feedback.
I see.
I've got a question as well. We've got a couple of green areas that are probably suitable for I'm talking about from the point of view of open orchard, where we put orchards around our part of Lambeth. But we've got a couple of areas. How would we go would we put that on your mapping?
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though we are going to be putting an orchard in and a hedge in this same area.
Yeah.
By the end of the year.
So the idea of this mapping is to capture the state of Lambeth at the moment. Right. What is existing, what has been decommissioned, because maybe some of the food growing projects need to be revived. I see like carcasses 2 streets down of what used to be a thriving food growing space and has completely gone into disarray. So that's a massive potential. So in the next stage, those would be quick wins if we could revitalize those and bring the community around those already. So if you are planning, then do say this is a potential space.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, that would be great. So I hope you guys find this valuable. And if you have any questions, please reach out. There's my email. And I'm happy to keep chatting and talking offline. And Janie will definitely touch base with you as we move along.
So do you want us to continue mapping then?
Yes, go crazy.
Okay.
As much as you can.
Okay.
As much as you can.
Spread the word.
As many points as you can add.
Yeah.
On a daily basis.
Yeah. So I think the next thing is we're going to update the Incredible Edible website with a demo video, just to explain the steps, in case some people aren't on this call and would like to get involved.
Just a small comment. I will be deleting all the points submitted within this hour from this workshop today. So please add it again afterwards.
Yeah, if it's a real space, please add it again in the next hour.
Joanna, just before we leave, I've just dropped you a private message as well in the chat.
Oh yeah.
So if you don't mind reading that.
Do you don't want to tell us?
Sorry. I just wanted to, before everyone starts leaving.
Yeah, so you said that you're writing an essay for MSc in Sustainability and Ecology on Incredible Edible Lambeth and assessing the urban commons for food production with the intent of increasing food resilience and reducing food poverty. You're considering doing your dissertation on this as it's such an inspiring project, and wondering if you'd be happy to connect and to discuss this further. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I've just messaged you and Janie, and I would really love to connect to you both and to anyone basically. I think it's a great project and it's really inspiring. So if you feel like getting in touch, that would be great. I mean, and if there's any, I don't know, gaps in research that would be possible for me to try and fill, that would be beneficial to Arup and this project and Incredible Edible Lambeth, then I'd like to look into that. See what the possibilities are.
Absolutely. You've got my email on the screen, so just drop me an email and then I'll connect you to everybody.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, everyone. That was a bit of a whistle-stop tour, but I hope it made a bit of sense. And please start mapping. And see you soon for the next Lambeth Food Story, which is on the 20th of April. So keep your eye out for that one.
Cool.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you
for
so
your
much.
time,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Belated happy birthday, Jenny.
Thank you.